Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the 14th edition of Cinema Effect. I'm Zach, and I'm joined by PTA's number one essay writer, Liam.
Hello.
Hi, I thought about that at lunch. I was really proud of it. And, what the hell? Oh, yeah, my fellow Hans Zimmer appreciator, Jaden. Today's a good day for that.
Is it? Oh, yeah. Fair, no, yeah, no, yeah. Yep.
It is. Well, this is Cinema Effect, the podcast where we review and talk about a different movie every single week. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Every single Monday, the show posts 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, that's what we call it, not daylight saving these days. Please subscribe and all those things. If you enjoyed the show, leave us a 5-star rating. Submit your comments, questions, reviews, whatever into the YouTube comments section as always. We'll read them at the end of the show. This week's specific question prompt for you all to do for homework will be opinion, and that is, of course, what is your opinion on watching films on mobile devices, on phones? You know, I can see, I think I know where we'll all fall on this, but I can see, there's the convenience arguments and portability, and if you're busy and running around doing other things, but, also affects the experience just a little bit. So let us know where you stand on that highly debated issue in the comments section. This week we're tackling The Last Samurai, a movie none of us had ever seen. Is that right? I think so, yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. Let's do the data dump. The Last Samurai opened in the US on the 5th of December 2003. It was directed by, do you say his name Edwards? Is it just Zwick?
Zwick. Yeah.
Zwick, okay. Kind of a weird name. Okay, cool. It was written by John Logan, Edward Zwick, and Marshall Herskovitz. Yeah, cool. The film was composed by a young up-and-coming man named, I think his name's Hans Zimmer.
It was the 100th score he composed, though. So,
Was this actually the 100th? That's crazy.
Oh, wow.
That's nuts. I just had when I saw that, I had a look, and 214 movie he's written the score for in total. That's nuts.
That is nuts, dude. Can you imagine, having to sit down and think of original shit after you've done 200? I can't even. I'd be so creatively run dry at that point.
You run dry just doing this, so.
I definitely do. Oh, God. The film stars Tom Cruise, Ken Watanabe, Hiroki Sanada, and Billy Connolly, which is a weird surprise. That was kind of a random assortment of actors I just chose from the film. They're not even, some of those aren't even really main characters, but IMDb sorted the cast list weird, so I just kind of picked some out that I recognised. The film's budget was $140 million, had a box office worldwide of $455 million. It's like a war drama, I guess, a war action film is its genre. It's probably the best way to put it. It has a runtime of 2 hours and 34 minutes. And the synopsis is, an American military advisor embraces the samurai culture he was hired to destroy after he is captured in battle. Guys, how do we feel about The Last Samurai? Yeah, Jaden, I'll start with you. How did you feel?
I was pleasantly surprised by it. I really didn't want to watch it. Because going in, it just seemed like boring 2.5 hour, action epic, semi-epic, I don't know.
Sure.
And having seen Zwick's films in the past, I wasn't really, they're fine, but I wasn't overly keen on watching another one, especially of this length, but I actually really liked what I saw.
Cool. Yeah, I get that reservation. I was also kind of thinking, is this just going to be like a Braveheart thing, or like a Gladiator thing? But yeah. How about you, Fitzy?
Well, I feel like what Jane was describing, what he was afraid of, was what it was for me. For me, it was just extremely boring, and yeah, I don't know. It was well made. It wasn't terrible in the way the bowling effects from the Matrix Reloaded scenes were, but it's at the same time, I just was not. It did not engage me at all. So yeah.
Okay. I'm kind of the opposite of you, where I actually have problems with the way it's made, but I like everything about the story. I did really like the movie. I like the story, like I said. I mean, really, Tom Cruise is the center of this movie. You know, all the other characters just kind of support his arc in the movie, and that's cool. And I like Tom Cruise in this movie. He's obviously really good. I love his character arc, and I love the kind of the way this film explores samurai culture and just the kind of, I guess, meeting of cultures in general, and you know, the whole well-worn, of course, themes of civilization taking over these more traditional cultures and the morality of doing so. But yeah, no, I really like the movie. It's a long movie, but I thought it was paced well overall. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed my time with it. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's a good place. Where's a good place to start? Well, did you like Tom Cruise's? Well, his character's Nathan, right? Nathan. Did you like him, Fitzy? That character?
I mean, Cruise himself was fine, but I feel like the role lends itself a bit to overacting just because it's such a, like a, I don't know, like at the start you see him all like post-traumatic and stuff, and it's like, I don't know, it's kind of just, it was kind of too much, but at the same time, I don't know, it was just that was the character, so Tom Cruise himself I didn't have a problem with, but the character was just fine, I guess.
Was it just a bit on the nose with everything, you know, early in the movie with him, oh, we get it, he's traumatized kind of thing?
Yeah, it was like, it just felt like the same shit for the first, like, third of the movie with, like, him being traumatized and, like, a shell of a person and stuff, like.
Sure.
You know, that kind of lends itself to a kind of very dramatic type of acting, but, like, Tom Cruise just still pulls it off. It's just, like, I'm not fond of the character or the type of acting that is there, so that is required, but yeah.
Yeah. I like that kind of character growth and him at the start being the way he is, but I do think there is, and I kind of put this down personally to an editing issue in the movie where it's super obvious what's going on with Tom Cruise. You know, he's obviously, he's a Civil War veteran, he did this terrible shit to the Indians, great. You know, he's clearly upset by this, fair enough.
Native Americans.
Yeah.
So.
Is that, did I say something, what do you call it, politically incorrect?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure Indians is kind of like a, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's safe to just go with Native Americans.
Now that you say that, I think you're probably right. My apologies if I did not mean any offense by it. I was just, you know, semantics. My apologies. Native Americans, yeah. So, yeah, it was a thing where it's super obvious, and I feel like the movie insisted on reminding me about 10 times after okay, mate, I get it. You know,
Yeah.
Constant flashbacks, but I do put that down to an editing issue, and I do think this movie has editing problems and and visual issues as well, kind of in that way. But but nonetheless, though, the character didn't bother me exactly. Yeah.
In terms of like editing and visual issues, when like the film started with Ken Watanabe's like vision of the tiger, and like it was through like 14 filters and it was all like janky as like when I saw that I was like, oh god, no. But it improved upon itself a lot. But then like they still used like similar effects for like they did. Yeah.
I was definitely going to bring this up at some point. You did it, so yeah, may as well. Like, what's the deal with the white tiger? Is there symbolism I'm missing?
Well, it's just that was what it was in his vision, and then Tom Cruise is the white tiger with the flag and shit. I'm not sure if there's meant to be any more symbolism than that. Cause, like,
I didn't think of that.
No? Okay. Yeah, because like the flag he was holding had a white tiger on it, and that's why Ken's like, stop.
Got it. Okay. Strangely, because I took note of the white tiger straight away. I'm like, okay, this is something. And then I noticed Tom Cruise holding the flag, but then I didn't even put two and two together. It's meant to be that simple. Like, it's just Tom Cruise is the white tiger. Okay, cool.
Even in like the way, like in like the vision, like the tiger's like defensively like flailing around. I mean, like the way Tom Cruise gets surrounded, and he's kind of like just lunging and then comes back and shit. Pretty much like a shot for shot remake, mate.
Oh, that's so obvious now you say it. It's so deep. God damn.
Yeah. But I mean, that's kind of just meaningless to me. Like, I mean, what does it really say or do apart from mirror like Tom Cruise? Like, you know what I mean?
Because Ken
Like, doesn't it-
foresaw that he needed to help the white tiger, you know? He saw the white tiger was important to his culture. And then Tom Cruise comes along, and he is the white tiger, so he's like, oh, I need to take him in, you know?
And Ken Watanabe does say about, he's keeping him here, but he doesn't know exactly why. But he's got this feeling. Yeah, no, that works. That works.
Right. But like, what's the payoff to that?
What do you mean?
There's no payoff. That's it.
Okay. I mean, it just feels a bit empty to me. Like, he sees his white tiger, and then Tom Cruise is a white tiger, I mean.
Well, Tom
I feel
Cruise
there
does
should
help
be
him. I mean,
more there.
you know, Cruise recognizes that he sees the ninjas, and he's like, yo, look out. And, you know, he's a big part of the final battle in the plan, so, I mean, like, he did do a fair bit for Ken. I mean, there is a bit of a payoff in that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. He was essential.
Yeah.
I think I get what you mean, Fitzy. You just kind of wish there was more depth to it in that way, and that it kind of more thought went into it. But nonetheless, I think it served its purpose for me fine. I got it. Oh, I mean, I didn't get it rather, but when you say this, I'm like, okay, I didn't need more from that.
I think if it was to put more depth into it, it'd fall too much into like a white savior type of thing. Whereas I think where it is at the moment, it's safe in that it's just it's just an American coming over, and he gets involved in it, and like he does his best to help them, but he's not a savior for them, And had it been any deeper, it might have fallen into that,
Yeah, like I mean, really, the culture saves him. Really, that's kind of the story, I think. So that's cool. That's just like that's just a narrative I like. That this broken dude goes here and he's like hanging out with these samurai and they're all cool as, and he's like, yo, this is sick here, and then he's able to kind of get over his trauma. I think it's cool.
Yeah, I didn't really get much from like what he learnt or whatever. I mean, what did you guys get from that in terms of like the values he learnt and stuff?
Don't know if I could pinpoint any values, but I think he definitely just I just kind of saw it as a lot of personal growth. He realized that he kind of had agency in his own situation. He chose to save these people, and he chose to help defend them and become a part of them and live with them, etc. As opposed to what bothers him, I think, so much about what he'd done in the past was obviously the violent nature of what he did, but the fact that he just kind of blindly took the orders and is just another soldier in this army, but he kind of like I said, has this agency, becomes his own person, and does something that he's proud of himself, and he doesn't have to live in shame of or fear of.
Right, but I think the film's like mainly about like understanding this other culture, and I'm just trying to get at like, what did you guys get from what he started to understand about the samurai culture?
Well, the samurai culture is like one that's very plain and like bare bones or whatever. I mean, like you see that reflected in like their living style of just their houses are unfurnished. It's just wood, some panel doors, and like it's. I think it's kind of, I don't really know where I'm going with this actually. I don't know. It's kind of like that. You don't need a lot to live a righteous life or whatever. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, they're like minimalists. Yeah, or whatever. Absolutely, and he says about how much he comes to respect their life of dedication and how they spend their days perfecting their crafts and that kind of what do you call it? That kind of dedication, I guess, but I don't know, commitment. I guess that kind of lifestyle just is something that he hadn't experienced and clearly resonates with him in some way, which is cool. And I feel like the film does depict that really well. We see all the cool. I love when they're like riding their horses and doing like the bow and arrow drills and things like that. And they're just it's just such an idealistic kind of lifestyle. Not that I'd ever want to bloody live in the mountains, but did we answer your question adequately, Fitzy? I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I can see that stuff. But like, there's a scene in the movie where the monk, the samurai leader character, he talks about like the oneness and everything, and like these kind of Buddhist ideas, like the life and death are something about that. I can't. Do you guys remember that scene? you guys have any thoughts on that?
Well, that's just the. Isn't that like what Japan's like main religion is, like, you know, the Shinto Buddhism, whatever it is. So wouldn't that be entwined with like samurai culture pretty tightly? Like, that's just.
Yeah. Well, it was, but I'm saying, like, what did you guys get anything from that?
Right.
I mean, anything that's part of their culture is therefore important to. I mean, everything a part of their culture is important to the story, you know. So I guess it's just another glimpse at us finding out about their culture. I don't really know if it's meant to be more than that.
So you guys didn't get that much from like it's kind of the Buddhist angle.
Not really.
I mean, are you suggesting
like,
that you think the film's trying to say something?
No, I'm just saying, like in my eyes at least, there's more to understand about this kind of way of life, and like, I don't know how everything is like intertwined, and like, you know, the community is like one in the community are, like, the same and stuff. I was wondering if you guys like just got anything from that, or I don't know.
Did you get something from that? That sounds interesting.
Well, no, I'm just trying to understand, like, I guess what you guys got from it that I didn't. So that was one of the things I thought maybe you guys got something from, but obviously not.
No, I think it was just kind of there to.
I don't know if they would. Yeah.
Yeah, like aid Tom Cruise. To aid Tom Cruise's like development and regrowth and whatever. I don't think the audience was going to really take too much away from it.
I do like in the film the emphasis placed on, obviously, another key part of samurai culture is their obsession with death and how one dies and dying with honor and having honor and all those really interesting things. And I think that has an awesome payoff in the last scene. But you know, Katsumoto's insists on, you know, everyone in the movie wants to die with a sword in the hand and all this shit. And I get the payoff I'm talking about is that when what's the line Tom Cruise says that, you know, I will tell you how he lived, instead of everyone, and the Emperor included at the end of the film, wants to know how he died. Did he die with honor and all this shit? And I think that's another kind of layer, I think, to the movie that I kind of saw as not necessarily a criticism of samurai culture, because I think this movie certainly it's like the opposite of criticizing it, but it kind of adds a level to it where, you know, maybe we shouldn't, or they, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I would word it other than it's not a criticism, I don't think, but I don't know what the other word would be, but where in some way it doesn't encourage that, the way in which that they did look at death, you know? It doesn't, it's not suggesting that, oh no, sorry, I'm wording this terribly. It kind of, Tom Cruise being from that foreign perspective is able to kind of in some way teach the Japanese a lesson about that, I think. That, you know, you guys come over here and obsess about death, but I'm going to tell you how he lived. And that is, I think, a positive thing that he gives them as well.
Is it an obsession with death? I don't think it is. I mean,
well, I don't know. Sorry, an obsession with death. I just meant like their emphasis on dying gracefully and dying with honor, and you know, we very early in the movie, that dude who was on the other side kills himself, you know, and Katsumoto helps him, and Katsumoto talks about how, you know, I was happy to give him an honorable death and all that kind of thing. Do you guys feel like the movie does? I feel like it's an often explored topic.
Yeah, I don't know. It has a good payoff at the end, I guess.
So, I mean, it seems like this movie just kind of lacked a lot for you, Fitzy. It doesn't. But what was there stuff there that you particularly liked or particularly disliked, you know, other than just what wasn't, you know?
I don't know. I feel like the movie had a lot of unfulfilled potential, I guess. Like the whole, like, Tom Cruise's kind of arc, or whatever you want to call it. Like, I feel like if at the start talking about the Native Americans, you know, like, he was a part of his army or whatever, and including himself, they were all told to invade these innocents by this other American guy that we're constantly told is a dick. You know, his friend that goes to Japan with him, and I feel like, you know, Tom Cruise is already coming from a place of morality and goodness, from the start. So it's like, it's kind of like, it doesn't mean as much to me. Like, if Tom Cruise was like ignorant himself at the start and then kind of changed his ways and became more understanding, then it'll be different. It would kind of be, maybe I would get what you guys are getting, but for me it was kind of like,
because like he still accepted the money to kill them, to train them. I mean, there still was a change.
Yeah, right.
The transformation wasn't in the way that you're saying it is, or that you wish it was, Fitzy, but it came about in more in the way in which he chooses to go about how he feels, not how he feels itself.
Right. Yeah, no, he does have a change and an arc in that way, but just I felt like, for me, it would have been better if maybe he would have been kind of like too involved in that Western way, and then he kind of, I don't know, came to some understanding and like changed his ways more. But yeah, I don't know.
See, what you're describing sounds way less interesting to me. Seeing someone who doesn't understand, other cultures, or is, doesn't feel sorry for what he's done, and then realizes, oh shit, I actually have done terrible things, and like that doesn't sound nearly as interesting as a person who is broken by those things, but then is able to, through his choices, kind of be self-fulfilled, and to feel happy with himself and content with himself. That just sounds, I don't know, I kind of prefer what we got in that way.
Yeah, I think it's easier to root for him as well from his current, his current mindset. If he was the way you're describing, you wanted him to be of that complete ignorance and, that full-on patriotic American way, it'd be a lot harder to support the character in his transformation, because, like, when you set him up to be like that, like in my eyes at least, it'd be very hard to turn that around.
Yeah, I agree. It also feels less personal of a connection to that character, like you say, exactly.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. The movie just feels very generic as a whole to me. I don't know.
I guess in many ways it kind of is.
Oh, definitely. In a lot of ways, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think the ending makes it stand out, personally. Sure, this person getting taken to a foreign land and living with them and becoming and adapting to them and respecting them. Sure, I get that. Certainly not too original. But regardless, I personally, don't have an issue at all with stories that aren't original. I'm totally fine with films and stories that have been done before in a lot of different ways, as long as it gives me something something a little new to bite on in at least some respect, and is engaging anyway. And for me, the end of the movie does that 100%, where Tom Cruise and the samurai put up a hell of a fight, and that's really cool. I really like the final battle, but how at the end of the day, the new civilization in Japan, this new army, just completely gunned them all down. That was an awesome moment. I did not see it coming. And all the other soldiers, being really upset by this and bowing in respect as well. I mean, that gave me something that I didn't think was generic. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. So maybe something like that has been done in before. I don't know. But just seeing the very physical and very raw representation of this brand new era of civilization just overpowering this culture that we've come to respect throughout the movie, I thought it was really effective.
Yeah, I think just with that about like how the enemy, like how they bow to him, I mean, that just comes with like their old culture of, the way they approach war and the respect they have for it. So I think that's why it introduces a new element, because it's you're not looking at England and French wars, or you're not looking at anything else like that, because like that's kind of all just blood and glory. Whereas in the samurai culture, at least the way that it's depicted in this film, there's a lot of respect involved in it. Some people say it's contrary to like how it was in real life, but I mean, the movie wants to idolize it. Let it.
Yeah, I think it's a cool way of, despite the film very much depicting that this new era is inevitable, but nonetheless, through that moment, still acknowledges the the positives or the other aspects of that respectful element of the past culture. It doesn't just it doesn't just absolutely demolish it or wipe it off the face of the earth, but that part of it does still kind of live on in those new soldiers as well.
I mean, they carried the traditions through like a long time though. I mean, like up to World War II, the whole suicide in defeat thing. I mean, like that, like a lot of those values persisted. I'm not sure if they're still going on today, but like it's like those like ideals and those the system that it was built upon. I mean, like there was still remnants of it in like the modern era of Japan's army.
God, that's interesting. I just find that whole culture so fascinating. Maybe that's another aspect I just enjoyed about the movie. I think the culture is really interesting. It's certainly something I think most people are pretty well aware of samurai culture and what it's like. It wasn't like I was ignorant to it, but nonetheless, seeing it in this way and the way it was depicted quite extravagantly, I thought was still really entertaining. Here's some trivia for you. This one's a bit scary. Tom Cruise narrowly escaped potentially fatal injuries after a sword was swung within 1 inch of his neck while filming. He and his co-star Hiroki Sanada, who's the he's in a bunch of things. He was in Westworld, of course, a few weeks ago for us, but he's the in this movie. He's like the right-hand guy of Katsumoto, I guess. He's the other main samurai character. The one that's kind of Tom Cruise's rival in the movie. They were acting out a sword fight scene when the incident happened. Sanada swung a sword at Cruise, who was on an off-camera mechanical horse at the time, but the machine reportedly malfunctioned and failed to duck at the right moment. Sanada stopped the blade just 1 inch from his neck. Jesus Christ. Well, I'm glad Tom Cruise is still alive. That's a plus. Contrary to a popular misconception, the title of the film does not refer to Captain Nathan Algren nor Katsumoto as the last samurai, but the word samurai here in its plural form and is actually referring to Katsumoto's entire clan. Before watching the movie, I figured, I guess Tom Cruise is the last samurai, but as it was going, I had this thought myself. I'm like, actually, I don't know about that. Halfway through, I'm like, yeah, I don't think that's the case, and there you go. That's true. Yeah, should I? Yeah, I'll save the other trivia bits. I don't know. Why not? But I will talk about some of my issues with the movie, and it sounds like you were kind of with me on some of them, Jaden, but specifically, just the flashbacks didn't look very good at all. The slow-mo was awful. 10 frames per second shit, that does, it always takes me out of movies, man. It's kind of it can work at times, I think, when it's very deliberately chosen, but not when it's just done out of necessity, And it's a situation where if you're not shooting a scene and when you're shooting it that it's going to be in slow-mo and you can shoot it specifically for slow-mo, obviously that's fine. But when you slow it down in the edit and you get 10 frames as a result, it really doesn't work. And there was a ton of that in this movie that bothered me. You're not wrong about the ridiculous amount of blue filters. That was that didn't bother me as much, but I get what you mean 100% when you brought that up earlier, Jaden. But yeah, a bunch of other things like the one scene where I think it's just prior to they go and rescue, or I guess fail to rescue. Oh no, sorry, they rescue Katsumoto, but then his son is killed in the process. Just prior to that, when Tom Cruise has a bit of a sword fight, there's some really poor editing there where the film fails to stick to a visual language that's consistent in any way. There's shots that, obviously a lot of quick cutting, which is, obviously fine and in this case, but there's shots with really bad frame dropping slow-mo and then other shots with good slow-mo and back to regular pace shots. And that kind of shit does really bother me in movies where I really like when you're able to stick to a clear visual language of, okay, these flashbacks have got choppy slow-mo and I think it looks bad, but at least if they stuck to that, okay, that's the visual language they're going for. All flashbacks have this weird slow-mo, okay? But then we get the weird slow-mo only once in this one battle. It never pops up again anywhere else except the flashbacks. But then we get good slow-mo in there too, like literally intercutting between the two, 10 frames and normal, 24 frames and so on. And I don't know, that kind of shit does stick out to me 100%. Not to mention, I thought some of the action was kind of generic, especially a lot of the bow and arrow stuff, just dudes just dropping like flies and wasn't all that creative, I guess. Wow, I just ranted a lot about the visuals there. Does that resonate with any of you guys? Any of that?
Yeah, I think I agree with it, but like it affected me to a lesser extent. I'd say like it annoyed me, like especially like
Sure.
the crappy slow mo. But I don't think
Yeah.
it never took me out to the extent it seems like it affected you.
Yeah. Was I the only one who was thinking, what the hell does this armor do in the movies, though? In this movie, rather? Because, I mean, these guys were just dropping like flies with their full armor on.
Like they were getting shot at with bullets. Of course, they're gonna. Their armor wasn't made to withstand that.
Oh, is that true? I mean, dude, I'm no armor expert. So would bullets actually penetrate that armor? Because just
Yeah, for
from
sure.
my
Because like
perspective, that armor looked pretty tight.
no,
Okay.
like that, all that stuff is. I mean, like it's like the whole concept of like the modernization of Japan against like how it like wiped out the traditional stuff. Like that's all based in like like real shit. But, like obviously it was changed up for the movies like in just like minor stuff. So like when modern technology was introduced to Japan, like specifically modern weaponry and guns and stuff like that, they did they did mow down the samurai.
Okay. No, that's cool then. That's cool. Because it took me out of the movie a little bit just because I didn't know that. But that's totally fine then. I had no idea about that. But I will say, yeah, nonetheless, though, I mentioned some of the bow and arrow combat, but I don't know. Some of that was kind of just guy fires arrow, cuts to a guy being hit, guy fires arrow, cuts to a guy being hit, but like a ton in a row where it was like, okay, this is kind of boring. I think when I'm talking about specifically the bridge scene, right when Katsumoto's son dies, and there's a few other moments like it, that kind of shit does stick out a little bit. As being not too creative, but I mean, I'm the only one who nitpicks. I think the action set pieces this much, so I apologize. Did you like the action overall, Jan? Though, because I did.
Yeah, overall I thought it was pretty good. I mean, because even like in the sword play, it's a different fighting style to like what you'll often see in like just the your European type ones. And I think even that's reflected kind of in like Tom Cruise's transformation. Cause like at the start when he holds the sword, he holds it in an American way, but then he learns how to fight differently, and is this more delicate and more fluid type of thing. So yeah, I thought the combat was interesting. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's cool. That's cool storytelling through obviously physicality from an actor. I like that. How do you feel about the action set pieces, Fitzy? Did the final battle get you going a little bit?
The final battle was good, yeah, but like I don't know. I've seen there's nothing interesting or new about these sword fights in this movie. I mean, I've seen this a billion times, and I mean, I don't know. Yeah, the rest of the action set pieces were just fine for me, but I mean, like my main problem with the movie is like it feels like a bunch of like tropes strung together, like the master and the guy coming to understand each other, and the one rival guy, and the wife who starting to become interested in him, and like I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't like the romance angle too much. I think that's one of my. I mean, it feels weird, like Tom Cruise kills that chick's husband, and then 6 months later, they're falling for each other. No.
I don't entirely disagree with you. It definitely wasn't one of my favorite parts of the movie, but I do like the element of Taka going to Katsumoto and saying that she doesn't like Tom Cruise there and he wants him to piss off. And then, obviously them falling for each other in the end's okay, pretty tropey, but nonetheless, though, I do like in the way that specific moment does kind of challenge samurai culture. That is just obviously Katsumoto comes at it from the angle of, nah, man, he had a cool death. It was totally fine. Tom Cruise is G with us, but the fact that still bothered her anyway, despite her culture kind of insisting that it shouldn't. That was kind of a cool little detail I like. But I do generally agree. Yeah, where it left off was like, okay, cool, we get this. We've seen this before.
I was disappointed that Tom
Yeah,
Cruise lived through the film. I wanted him to like. It did allow for that last moment of I'll tell you how he lives. Like, yeah, that's cool. But had that moment not occurred, obviously I wouldn't have cared about it. Like, I would have rathered he died on the battlefield with the rest of them.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent on that. I totally get what you're saying. Maybe I think I liked it. I was totally convinced he was going to die. I was totally convinced. By the end. So maybe the fact he didn't just kind of surprised me, and therefore I liked it a bit more. But no, but from a story perspective, I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I don't disagree with that. But I thought he was going to die for sure. So I was surprised he wasn't. Didn't.
Yeah, and like I was surprised by it, but it wasn't a good surprise. You know, it was like that's Hollywood doing their Hollywood thing again and keeping the main character alive type of surprise. When they should have died.
Yeah. That would have stood out more to me if everyone else had also survived. But I think because, like, if there was a situation where Tom Cruise sacrificed himself for everyone else to live, that's something I would have been fine. But if we're kind of weighing up the two things, I prefer what we got. Like this entire culture was kind of wiped out. All the warriors were wiped out, but Tom Cruise is okay, and he can go on and start a new life, and it kind of lives on through him. I don't know. That's kind of it's cool shit. I like it.
Yeah, that's why I don't like it. I mean, like everyone else was wiped out apart from him. Like that's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I get you. We haven't talked about the Hans Zimmer score yet somehow, but it was good. It was real good.
Did he perform any of this live? I don't think he did he?
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought the score it was just fine for me, I guess. I don't remember any of the music or anything.
Oh, okay. No, the music in the final climactic moments definitely was noticeable to me.
Yeah, for sure. But just like the way that the incorporation of like obviously when you're setting your film in Japan, you're going to involve like some of their instruments and some of the more Eastern type of sounds and stuff. So like I think it incorporated well into the scores. I think he did a good job.
Yeah, definitely. And we're not fanboying. I think I think it was really good. I think the movie's really pretty as well. Like they shot a lot of the movie in New Zealand, and stunning landscapes. And again, certainly not original shit, but nonetheless, like my thing is, like I've said earlier, I don't care if shit's been done before, as long as it's engaging to me and still brings something to me nonetheless. And I mean, I just dig all the silhouette shots so much. I'm like, this shit's dope. There's a reason that people keep doing this shit, and that's because it's dope. But you sound very disgruntled. Very disgruntled. I feel like is there? I don't know. Is there something else? Is there something else that you can add? I don't know.
Like the cinematography as well for me was just like not creative. It was fine. I mean, this movie didn't seem like it had a heart or like energy or like vision or something. Like it just felt like taking an interesting culture and concept and making it into a generic Hollywood film with all these tropes and stuff. And I mean, I didn't even care if it was engaging, but it just wasn't for me. Like it was just,
yeah,
it was just painful for me.
It was painful. Wow, it's a strong adjective.
Yeah, this is painful, but X-Men Origins Wolverine isn't. Huh? That's strange.
I mean, that's a masterpiece, so you can't really.
Yeah.
It's fair. It's not comparable, Jack. Come on.
Yeah, I apologize.
Yeah, I mean, in some way, like, I hate to bring up Star Wars. I'm really sorry, but it comes down to, I think this is a common thing in film criticism. I think amongst different people, and it wildly differs. One of the main conversations is, does originality, how much does it add for you? And that's something that differs wildly from person to person. And obviously, The Force Awakens is the main topic of that, and probably, still is and probably will be for many years to come amongst different people. But for me personally, I really don't care. I'll take good shit if it's good, and that's really all that matters to me personally. And that's not to, discredit any criticisms if anyone, if you dislike aspects of the movie or anything like that. But nonetheless, like, I guess I don't value originality as much as I think a lot of other people do,
I think in this day and age, it's hard to. I mean, like, everything's been done, and everything is a remake of a remake that's inspired of something. And I mean, like, even if you do have, like, original concepts, there'll be, like, ideas taken from bits and pieces of film throughout history. Whether, like, the filmmakers realize it or not, whether they are where they are following a similar story. But it's just when you have such a when you have so many films made, it's really hard to avoid that. So like I think
Definitely.
I'm leaning more with you
Yeah.
in terms of like it's nice to see a new film, an innovation in the story and stuff like that. But I understand it's hard to do so in the modern day, so it's not too much of a bother.
I completely agree with what you just said, but at the same time, I also fully understand what I assume is Fitzy's perspective and the perspective of other people. Where I also don't know if I can. I get why people wouldn't really want to accept that and see it as a bit of an excuse, So I get that too. At the same time,
Yeah, I think there's levels to it. I mean, I think in a film like this, it does it. You can draw a lot more comparisons to other films. So I think there are exceptions, like where some films are like they do follow like the same structure and story to like a T. So I mean
Well, I don't know if I care about the originality of the story, but I mean, like, they just, like, it didn't feel like there was a director behind this. It just felt like, I mean, it could have been any generic Hollywood director, I mean, if it was done in an interesting style, maybe I would have liked it more. Maybe if it was done in a more, I don't know, like Western-centric style, which is really ironic because it's about this, this samurai culture. Maybe I would have enjoyed it more, but I mean, I'm not coming from a place of like, film criticism or professionalism when I say, it wasn't original, blah blah blah. Like that's just my brain, coming from the fact that I was just bored by it, and I mean, that's probably because it wasn't like it didn't offer much, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that's how I feel about like Edward Zwick's other films, where you can kind of take any director and chuck him in. I think Blood Diamond is like kind of a key to that, because like Blood Diamond is like a pretty decent film, but ultimately doesn't seem to have like its own style. I did feel it a bit with this film as well, so I do understand what you're saying there.
I mean, as as well, I guess non-interesting as we called that the Westworld episode, I thought that was much more stylishly like well done. Like you had the I don't know, you just had like it was much more aesthetically fitting for the culture, and you had the cover of Painted Black.
Right.
It just seemed like that just like engaged me way more.
Sure.
And I mean, even the color palette in this, I mean, I don't think the color palette or like cinematography is all that unique in this either, but
yeah, I was very much talking about in originality, the story, but also the style as well. I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. I don't think this movie has a very distinct style, but I do want to make it clear that in what I was saying, I was very much kind of throwing that in the same under the same umbrella, where a film not having a distinct style or aesthetic vision doesn't bother me by itself as well. But you're absolutely right. It doesn't really, and I can see why that would bother you as well. Anyway, I've got 2 trivia left. Let's do it. Tom Cruise spent almost 2 years in preparation for this movie, including swordplay instructions and Japanese language lessons. Tom Cruise always committed to his craft. Is he going to spend 10 years learning how to become an astronaut?
The reason he's so committed is because like he doesn't have to change his character from film to film, and he only has to learn a handful of new skills, Because as we've discussed, he does play the same character in every film.
It's like where Daniel Day-Lewis, spends his preparation time on understanding the character. Tom Cruise, I'll
He's
do
got
that
that down
afternoon.
pat.
That's fine. I just need to. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I need to learn how to do the actual skills. Understanding Ethan Hunt. I'll learn how to fly a helicopter. Not gonna lie. I mean, I think those two things, they're both just as entertaining to me as each other.
what's that?
What, flying helicopters?
Being Daniel Day-Lewis is preparing for acting, and Tom Cruise learning how to fly a helicopter.
What did you guys feel about the length?
Oh yeah, good one. it's a long movie, but it worked for me totally. Most of the runtime is spent, I think, off the top of my head anyway, with Tom Cruise just getting to know these samurai dudes, and that's, I don't know, on paper that might sound it goes too long, but I don't know. I feel like watching it was fine. It was engaging enough for me. It didn't bother me at all. So no, I thought it was paced quite well.
In terms of length, I had a similar feeling with to how I felt about other films of like this length. Is like it's long, and it's like it feels too long to me sometimes. But like I was never bored by it. I mean, that's obviously contrary to how you feel, Fitz, because you said you were bored by it. But like, I was never bored.
No, neither was I. I guess you did. I guess you did think it was long.
Oh, I mean, yeah, but so
where do you think the pacing faltered for you? Where would you have? Yeah.
Oh no, I mean, it was. I mean, the length was just a problem because I don't think it didn't grab me in the first place. I think so. I mean, it's kind of irrelevant, but
Oh, okay.
I mean, what did you? I don't know. Like, I feel like you guys have said some stuff, but like, just as a whole, what did you kept you engaged, or
just seeing more of the samurai culture? Like I said, it really interests me personally. I love Tom Cruise's character in the movie. I've said that, but seeing him develop was definitely kept me engaged. Especially, I do like the scene early on, and he's talking to the other Japanese generals. He's like, these soldiers aren't ready, and seeing them kind of fumble around, and he does the demonstration where he wants the other dude to shoot him. Like character moments like that, I do really enjoy. And when all the other soldiers run away, and he has to fight the other samurai by himself and gets knocked out. And I think there are consistent moments like that throughout the movie that kept me engaged as he kind of develops. And yeah, no, I do think the movie's really pretty. Not necessarily a unique visual style per se, like you mentioned, Fitzy, but nonetheless, gorgeous shots. Really enjoyed the scenery, enjoyed the action, enjoyed the ending. Yeah, I feel like I rattled them off pretty good there.
I mean, when I said cinematography, I mean, I don't think I was also talking about. I mean, I think there's a kind of a lack of just good shots anyway. But
I disagree with that. I think 1870 Japan is fucking gorgeous, and like you don't have to do too much to make it pretty. I mean,
no,
I think they did a good job of dressing up the New Zealand scenery to make it look Japanese, and I think I think they did a good job of like constructing the sets that they did, and obviously some of it was filmed in Japan as well. I think when you kind of have those, I think it's good to look at.
Definitely, yeah. A shot that stuck out to me was Katsumoto's last POV shot looking at the blossom. That was really nice. There's good dialogue there too.
I love the first shot of Yokohama. I mean, that's gorgeous, man.
Oh, of what?
Of Yokohama, the first when they're traveling across, and it's the first place he sees.
Oh yes. My apologies. I didn't realize that's where they were. Yeah. That was really cool. That the set design there was really good too. That whole location was quite well realized, I thought.
Do you mean like the bay and like the city kind of place?
Yeah.
All right. Cool beans. Out of 10, Fitzy, the Last Samurai.
Oh, he used to, yes.
Tossing between some pretty low scores here. Tossing up. I don't know. What would you guys give it?
It's an 8 from me, definitely. I think it's a great movie. I think it's got issues that prevent it from being an amazing movie or, one of the best movies I've ever seen or anything like that. But nonetheless, it's a movie I very much enjoyed, a movie I could very much see myself watching again. Yeah, definitely. How about you, Jan?
No, I agree with an 8. I disagree with the fact about watching it again. I think it'd be a fair few years before I watch it again, if I was to.
Right.
But I thought it was really great. I think the first 20 minutes I didn't love it too much, and I thought like the way it was going, I was expecting a pretty, average film, but after that it kind of subverted all my expectations, and I was pretty happy. Expectations in terms of the film, not in terms of the story.
Yes.
Pull
the bayonet off, Fitzy.
4.
4. Okay.
4 out of 5.
was just it was just boring for me. I don't know. My brain wasn't engaged.
Very good. Charlie Scanlon disliked that.
Sorry, Charlie.
You'll still be my friend at least, Charlie. Okay. Let's do news chat, I guess. That felt like a bit of a somber transition there. Thanks, Fitzy. You brought us all down. How dare you dislike it? I'm sorry. No. Okay. So, just today, actually, WB has pushed the Tenet release date after many weeks of deliberation and speculation on this here podcast. It has actually happened, but they've only, surprisingly to me anyway, to my dumb ass, they only pushed it 2 weeks. It's now coming out July 31st instead of July 17th, and I mean, this to me at the very least would indicate that there's no chance it moves again. If they, made the conscious decision to push the date, they could have very well pushed it to literally any date they wanted. They could have chosen anything, and the fact that they only chose 2 weeks later means that they're confident that that's it. So that makes me happy. But then, in place of the July 17th original release date, they will be, apparently, that is WB, re-releasing Inception in theaters, at least in the US. I haven't got a confirmation for us yet, hopefully, though. So that's exciting as well. We've got 2 Nolan theatrical releases inbound. Does this do anything for you, Jaden?
Nah, I mean, it's expected. It's all calm,
I'm so glad this was it, though. When I saw the headline, I was like, oh, Lord. And then I clicked on it, and I was like, oh, yay.
But that makes me worried that it's going to get delayed again. I'd rather they delay it a bit and just leave it like that rather than delay it 2 weeks continuously, So, I mean, like...
Oh, for sure. But they know that, though. Like,
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't think they would ever have chosen this date unless they were 99% confident,
Yeah. So, therefore, if they are that confident and they actually are going to release on that date, good on them. But, I really hope it doesn't become a case of just push back, in the hope of just trying to release it as
that would be
as they
embarrassing.
can.
Yeah, absolutely. Fitzy, you got anything to add?
Well, I don't know if it improves the chances of coming out. I guess I don't know if it would do that, but yeah.
Okay.
Another bit of Tenet news, I guess.
Hopefully, the last bit, if the stars align. I had also here quickly tying in with that sort of AMC theaters, big theater chain in America, going to be reopening in July, and the California. I don't know how. I got no idea how American politics work in terms of the names of actual. Do you say the California government? Is that like correct terminology? I don't know. The state of California. I'll say that. Yeah. They've given the clearance for theaters to legally be able to reopen on June 12th, which is today in America, so good for them. Anyway, let's get on to way more exciting news, and that is Lionel Richie biopic. Jaden, this is what we've all been waiting for, another biopic.
Yeah. What I'm really excited about, what made me really excited about this news was hearing that Lionel Richie pitched his own life to Disney. And just to have such confidence in, your own life story, to pitch it as a film. I mean, that's big dick energy, and I mean, good on Lionel.
It really is. That's the best way to put it.
The film's going to be called All Night Long if everything goes to plan. Well, that's current working title. I think it's a pretty decent title, so they'll probably stick with it. And yeah, I mean, it's just another musical biopic that's going to follow his life. I mean, obviously he's doing this now because of the popularity of, of that genre recently with Bohemian Rhapsody and Rocket Man. So he's looking at getting a bit of cash from it,
yes.
But,
Understandable.
I mean, we were talking about it last night. I mean, we only really know two of his songs, and I mean, we know nothing about his life, so maybe his life's pretty interesting. Maybe it's not. I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, definitely.
I can imagine it as a Disney Plus straight to Disney Plus exclusive.
Sure. Well, I mean, I guess my thing is, like, can you see this thing having a Disney logo on it? You know, that just doesn't sit well in my brain. Would they do some shit where they publish it under 20th Century Fox?
Yeah. Who did was Universal Rocketman?
That I think that's right. That sounds right.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, has Richie collabed with Disney before on like a soundtrack or something that he went to them first, or do you know?
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't really know enough about him to really say anything more. You know, I just think it's interesting.
No, neither do I. Yes, I'm with you. I think it's funny when you brought it up. Fitz here's number one Lionel Richie fan here. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy, to be honest. Get to see another generic biopic, so...
Yeah. Another one. Have you seen the other two? Have you seen those other two?
Which... Oh no, I didn't mean that, those two, I just meant like, I don't know, I'm not a fan of biopics in general, I guess, but
Sure.
I was thinking that the Artemis Fowl, when you said VOD, that Artemis Fowl came this week, and
oh, that's right.
To Disney.
Yeah.
Did you guys read the Artemis Fowl novels as a kid?
Tempting. God no, never. I had never heard of them. When I saw that movie existed, I was like, "That's a weird title."
Yeah, I think I read one of the books. Remember like nothing about it, but you know.
Right.
I'm not surprised that I'm surprised it took this long to be adapted. I mean, it kind of feels like the wave of like young adult novel like adaptation is kind of past. I feel like, you know, that should have been happening back when, like, you know, the Percy Jacksons and your Hunger Games and Divergence were being made. It feels a bit late on the train, you know.
Yeah. Not even gonna lie, half tempted to give it a watch.
I just saw it.
Well, it's got another great record so far.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about it. 3.6 on IMDb.
Oh, nice. Holy shit. Dude, we got to do an episode on it.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
We'll do a double feature next week.
Oh, Jesus.
Kubrick and Artemis Fowl.
What a combo. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, Jane, were you going to add something? Sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, Fitzy mentioned it, I was going to say I've seen pretty bad reviews so far, but, you know, Fitzy kind of covered it.
Right. Oh, God.
Josh Gad, apparently. Wait, what? Oh, yeah.
I was just going to say 3.6 on IMDb. That's a crazy low score.
Josh Gad's in the film, and apparently he's discriminated against because he's a tall dwarf. And he narrates shit. So, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, you sold me.
To be honest.
I mean, yeah. All right, yeah. Okay. This show exists. What we've been watching recently.
Then we get into audience submitted stuff first, or am I just like
no? That's always last, mate.
Is it? Jeez.
Yeah.
All right.
Always. Wow. It's all right. We're all having mini strokes here today. That's fine. Fitzy, do you want to kick us off?
I watched a ton of stuff this week, I think.
Ooh, nice.
I watched the first two Scream movies, horror movies, and they were really great. They're like kind of, yeah, they have a like ton of personality, and they're like you've seen Scream, right, Jaden?
Yeah, I really love Scream.
Yeah, they're like they like dismantle horror tropes while kind of using those horror tropes, but they're still like scary in the film. They still hold suspense in the film, and yeah, they just have a ton of character, and they're both kind of mysteries. And I think they do it really well because they kind of they leave everyone, you know, open for the suspect, but they don't. It's kind of it's that whole thing. Like it's obvious when it happens when the reveal, but like you can't tell who they are, beforehand. There's no it could be anyone, but no, yeah, they were good. Yeah, I don't know what it is. They have a ton of personality, and I really like them. And what else? I saw. I'll just talk about one more. I also saw Memento this week. And I thought I knew what the like big spoiler or reveal was, but I didn't really. I mean, technically I did, but it wasn't like. It wasn't that. It wasn't. It was a spoiler, but not in the way that I thought it would be. Kind of. So I thought I was just watching it and like I wouldn't be surprised by the end, but I wasn't anyway. But I love how like the form of the film and the texture of the film is about the character himself, like how you've got you go backwards in time, like and in short bursts, just like his memory, and like how you got the whole black and white, and then the color. It's kind of like I don't know. It just takes you into the character's mind so well, I guess, and it's such a like meticulously well told, crafted story when you really like it's told in such a confusing manner, but I mean when you really piece it all together, it's it makes a lot of sense and it's quite brilliant, and yeah, it's Nolan. It's one of Nolan's most like character driven works, as opposed to his kind of like big epic scale and big epic theme type movies. So I really love that about it, and I mean, yeah, I love the ending as well. So I think it's my favorite Nolan, to be honest.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Have you seen Nolan draw a timeline for the film? It's fucked, mate. It's so fucked. He has like, if I remember correctly, like he draws like two like parallel lines, but then you've got like a bunch of intersecting lines between them, and then like there's a circle, and it's munted, mate.
There's a rhombus in there, like
yeah.
Don't even want to imagine.
There's just a little trivia with Memento. On one of the DVD editions, you can solve a puzzle in the disc menu, and then it plays the film chronologically.
No way.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Oh, I love that. I love that so much.
And I just love how like fucked up it is. Really, I mean, it's really about a ton of things. Abusing the mentally ill, and how our society doesn't, I don't know, account for that, or I don't know. But also like revenge, purpose. I don't know, just a ton of things. But yeah, I really love that. And then some rewatches, and I also saw Rear Window, which I thought was good. But yeah, I don't know. It was good, but it didn't. Because you've seen Rear Window, right, Jaden?
Yeah, I fucking love Rear Window.
I know you love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It was good for me. It wasn't like amazing, but yeah, that's about it. What about you guys?
Yeah, I got nothing except Black Sails. Got 2 episodes to go, man. I don't want this shit to end. I really don't. It's one of my favourite shows I've ever seen, and God, just yeah, it's awesome. I couldn't recommend it enough to everyone. But yeah, I'll let you know how it ends next week, I guess. It's going to be a sad day. That's literally it for me, though. So how about you, Jen?
Well, I'll get to the big stuff in a second, but I watched Evil Dead 2, which is Sam Raimi directed it. it made me realize that it's not just the Sam Raimi Spider-Man I don't like. I just don't like his directing style that much at all. Because like now I've seen the first two Evil Deads, the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans, and Drag Me to Hell, and I mean they're all decent, but none of them. The best one is the first Evil Dead, which I gave a 7, but the rest of them are all just float between 5s and 6s. I still need to watch Army of Darkness and see how that compares, though. So I guess we'll see with that. I watched a BBC miniseries called The Secret of Crickley Hall. I don't know, that was pretty average as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like it was kind of horror, mostly drama type of thing. It was pretty poor, to be honest. I mean, I don't know. It kept me watching, I guess, so I can't really call it poor. But the big stuff for the week was I watched the first 4 Mission Impossible. I was going to watch more, but then I couldn't find 5 on Netflix or Stan, so I was a bit disappointed. But yeah, Mission Impossible. Yeah. I was a bit disappointed in Ghost Protocol, like because like I'd always heard good things about it, and then when I watched it, I was kind of like, nah. But yeah, no, it's definitely the best. If like purely just
shit on Brad Bird, bro.
Yeah, actually, when I saw Brad Bird in the credits, I remembered like that's like he's only directed 2 live action films, is that right?
Yeah, that's his live action debut, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so like when I've heard his like live action films like talked about, I've always heard that Ghost Protocol was like the better one. So when I watched it, I was like, I mean, Brad, and, stick with Incredibles. I mean, like that's what the Incredibles pretty much are, just superhero stuff, but like it's Mission Impossible with powers. I mean, let's be honest.
Huh? That's an interesting take. I don't. Yeah. Huh, I guess it kind of is, isn't it? That's why it's so good.
Yeah, so to get my ranking of the series, which is very important to everyone.
Absolutely.
2, 4, 1, 3. That's going from worst to best.
Yeah, I was very confused for a second. Yes. Okay, wow. That's fine. That's what I was very confused. But that's fine.
Putting 2 last, it's just.
Yeah, no, I don't know what to say, mate. Number 2 last.
Yeah.
No, it's all right. I mean, like, it has redeeming features, but like, it's really. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I hate the way that I hate the Aussie character in it so much. I mean, I didn't like him.
Maybe it's like a X-Men Wolverine, Transformers thing. I don't know, but it's just the most. It feels like the most action-heavy, bonkers type one, and there's just like.
I saw you put it on your.
A bunch of. Oh right, yeah. Like they're in Australia, and you got this poison thing, which is kind of cool. You don't kind of see that in other ones, and I don't know. You got the motorcycle chase. You got just some cool shit,
Okay.
Right. The plot of the second one was the most straightforward and generic. In like the fact that bad agent steals chemical plants to destroy world with it, and then sell the cure for money. Like that's.
Oh yeah.
That was kind of a bit.
What was? But what was the part of the first one again?
The knock list, baby.
The what?
The list of
the knock list,
and all their secret identities and stuff.
All right. Well, yeah, I feel like that's like a ton of spy movies, whereas the poison thing is like kind of different.
Nah, mate.
I mean, it's not that different,
nah.
but
no, I feel like chemical weapon and mass destruction. I feel like that's pretty.
The fact that she's poisoned, though, I feel like that's the cool part. Like she's trying to save her and shit.
I'm not gonna lie though, Chimera is a badass name for a MacGuffin.
Oh yeah, is that not?
That's
yeah.
Killer. Love that.
I'll have to watch it again so I give a full defense. But for now, I'll just say it's the second best one after Fallout.
Dude, the introduction of the Indian's character wasn't awkward.
Very awkward.
Oh, dude, dude, I mean, like the way the scene's shot, and I mean, like it's just like the entire time is just I mean, yeah. I mean, like, yeah.
The movie's shot awfully. It's shot awfully. But
Yeah, but it's shot differently.
no.
Yes.
But no, young Fitzy, I would love to do a solo episode with just you defending the movie. That'd be awesome.
I'll do it. Do I get to do one for Wolverine as well? Thanks, man.
Absolutely, dude. Any week I get off, please jump at the chance.
I'm just gonna watch a bunch of movies that people think are bad this week, and I'll try and defend them next week.
Sure,
absolutely. Homework.
That sounds great. There's no news anyway. I'll dedicate all the time to you doing that.
We'll get another Tenet update, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, probably. Are the dogs done?
The next Tenet update we're going to get is that Nolan's going to have to go around to people's houses and show private screenings for him to actually be able to show this film.
That'd be awesome. All right, let's get into the listener-submitted comments for last week's question. Last week we asked you what movie that you've seen that has scared the shit out of you the most. A man by the name of Lachlan wrote into us and said, I first asked if this was a judge-free space, and of course I replied yes, and of course I was lying. And he said, okay, it was the Scorch Trials 100%, which is of course the Maze Runner sequel. I think it still is, actually. I don't know anything about this movie. I think isn't Littlefinger in it, I think. Guys, how scary is this movie? Scary?
No.
Give me some insight.
No, it's not.
Scorch Trials. Yeah, no. I mean, it's lucky we're talking about here,
The reason he's scared of it is because there's one scene with some zombies and shit, and like, they call them cranks in the film, and like they're zombies, but they're a bit more crazy,
Sure.
Yeah, that scared the shit out of him. So,
all right, fair enough. Thank you very much for writing in, Mr. Lachlan. Paul wrote into us and said, Jaws, a movie based entirely on fear. People still talk of sharks at beaches and still make the da-dum, 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 da-dum. I did every single one there, Paul, thanks. Sound to scare each other at the beach. I was 10 when it was released, and it still gives me shivers. Universal Studios still have the Jaws adventure ride 45 years after this film was released. Wow. God, that's a long time. It's a long time. I would not want to ride that ride, though. I'm not a fan of rides. I'd probably be very scared on that one.
I think that's a really solid pick. I mean, it is the film that scared a generation. And I mean, like watching it today, it's I think it's hard for our generation to be scared by it just because of the way we've come, since like that, like the way we've evolved with the way cinema's evolved since that point. But I mean, at the time, I mean, it was the first blockbuster. And like it was a really scary one at for that. So
absolutely.
What ride was that? Pulse one that?
Ride? Oh, apparently there's the Jaws adventure ride at Universal Studios. Is what he said.
Oh yeah, I think I've been on that.
Oh yeah, awesome.
Yeah, but what did he? Yeah, they showed. I think they showed the real thing that they used for it.
The real shark.
Yeah, it was like they had it like
still alive. What?
Yeah, he's but yeah, they had it like do this thing where it almost like hits the thing, and yeah, it was good.
Was part of it filmed in Adelaide? Am I crazy?
Got no idea. That would be an awesome fact if that were true. That'd be great. Okay. While you do that, I'll read that. Henry wrote in and said, it's definitely not my favourite horror movie by any stretch of the imagination, but It, 2017, scared the shit out of me when I watched it in the cinema at midnight. It took me till 4 a.m. at least to get to sleep that night. Jeez. Seeing it at midnight, God. I guess you went to the midnight premiere then, Henry? Jesus. Wow. Hardcore It fan. I mean, as someone who doesn't really watch horror movies myself, I mean, that movie had some creepy moments for me. It didn't, like, scare me per se, but, like, definitely some of those, like, moments with the clown and, has a stroke on screen, some of the jump scares. I mean, I fall for that shit. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Have a good
according
answer,
to
Jaden?
Wikipedia, it was shot there. So
Wow.
good on Adelaide.
Absolutely. Good for the 70 people that lived in Adelaide back in 1783 when Jaws released. And finally, Luke wrote in and said, Coraline has no business being as creepy as it is. I've only seen it once, and it doesn't sit right with me. Luke, that is my answer. You are so right. Coraline has terrified me for many a year, and I never want to see it again.
I never understood the fear behind Coraline.
I couldn't tell you how
is
old I
it?
was, but it left an impression on me for sure.
Good justification.
To be honest, I don't even know what it's about, to be perfectly honest. I just remember seeing it once when I was like, I don't know, like a pipsqueak, and wow, it was scary.
It's creepy. I
Very,
feel like it's partly creepy because you got. Well, it's about like the whole button world thing. Like they got the mother, and then the regular mother, and then like the button mother, and it's like weird seeing that. You know, it's like recognizable, but also like
Oh, that's
a
right.
button creature. So it's kind of interesting that way, creepy that way. Plus, it's shot in a really creepy way. Like there's that scene with all just a white background, and then you just got like huge black spider webs that the mother button creature is like on.
What's your answer for this, Fitzy?
The Conjuring 2, I think. It was just the first horror movie I saw in theaters, and I think it was based on a true story, and yeah, I don't know. It's there's this one scene with this have you seen it, Jaden? Conjuring 2. There's this one scene that scared the shit out of me. With this involving a tent, and I think that's like one of the best jump scares ever, like that I've seen at least. Because it's just I don't know, it's so unexpected, but yeah, I don't know. It's just a pretty. I mean, it's directed by isn't James Wan or something?
Yeah, from Melbourne.
Yeah.
Fun.
Shout out
from
James.
Melbourne.
Yeah, but pretty. I don't know. Pretty class. Well, it's not a classic, but you know, respected, I guess, horror movie. But it's just creepy as hell, scary as hell.
The Conjuring films are kind of like they're kind of well regarded because like they're kind of like the pinnacle of modern mainstream horror because they are scary and they do tell a good story. So
yeah, and also the fact that it's like the true story of the ghost hunters kind of adds that extra element. Yeah. Was The Exorcist, was that based on a true story?
I can't recall.
I feel like The Exorcist is like the most evil film I've ever watched. You know, like you can just feel the evil in that film. It's scary in that way. But yeah, Conjuring 2 be my answer. And also Cat in the Hat, because that's just scary as.
Absolutely.
But yeah. What about you, Jane?
The scariest film I've seen. Well, what made this film scary wasn't the fact that I've seen it. I mean, well, I have seen it, but like when what made it so scary for me was that when I was there. Well, the film's called The Orphanage. It's a 2007 Spanish film. But when I was younger, like I remember seeing a commercial for it on SBS. It was late at night. I can't remember. I think they played the commercial during I think they were showing Mary and Max, which is a great film by the way. Have you guys seen it?
Definitely not.
Mary and Max.
It's an animated film about this Australian girl and her pen pal in across the world. It's really, really, really great.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but they showed it like in between the commercials for that, and it was only like that, that 20-second commercial for the film, and there's a really, really creepy shot of this kid with like a sack over his head, with like a potato sack over his head, and he's like standing in the doorway, and like that terrified me. Like I could not sleep. I mean, like I was 9 or so at the time, But like that, like so I like I mean, pretty much everything scared me at that point. But like that image stayed with me, like for years until I actually watched the film. 8 years down the track or whatever it was. But yeah, like that proper scared me.
Wow. God, that sounds like it would disturb me. Those kind of that kind of creepy imagery with just people standing in silhouettes and doorways and shit. Yeah, no good.
It's a great film. And like when you watch it, you'll it's more like drama than it is horror, really. But
right.
Yeah, like it's like the way it was marketed, like that commercial, like I mean, like that just stuck with me.
Okay. We've made it to the end of this week's Cinema Effect episode. Thank you. Thank everyone. We appreciate you, as always. We thank you. That's what I was trying to say. Tuning in.
You didn't read out the bot's comment.
Oh.
I didn't know.
Yeah,
I mean, he didn't really write in. You know what I mean? He didn't really write in with anything. But...
Yeah, but last week you did tell him that, you'll read out anything, so.
It's true. All right, Mr. Bot. I don't want to be friends with you. Anyway, look, I don't mind sounding like a complete spaz at the end of the show because anyone who's made it this far, like, you deserve a medal, so you really don't care, obviously, about any kind of quality content. Anyway, what are we watching next week, Fitzy, and where can we watch it? Because I swear to God, I honestly cannot remember where I meant to watch this. And it'll be helpful.
We're watching Eyes Wide Shut, directed by Stanley Kubrick, starring Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise. And it's on Foxtel Go, or if you don't have Foxtel Go, YouTube or Google Play. So same thing, but yeah, that's where you can get it, see it, watch it.
Yes, very good. Okay, I'm glad I know that now. I'll actually be able to watch it. Tom Cruise again. Look at us go. All right. Jaden Fitzy, thanks a lot for joining me, as always.
Thank you.
Well, just like a deep sigh, like, oh, should I have to say thanks? Yeah.
Yeah. I think I've been silent like for like the past two or so episodes where you say goodbye, and I just sit there. So I think I'm going to try and commit to that. So,
but I feel like my thing with this is that I feel like if Fitzy just says something and you don't, that's weird. So, like, I get if you both want to commit to saying nothing, but at the same time, then the last we hear from you at all, Jane, is like your answer. It feels a bit disconnected. Am I insane about this?
No, that's definitely what I'm going for. I want the viewer to be left with this disconnected feeling. So, yeah.
You want them leaving more of you. I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. All right. Everyone, thanks again. Have a great rest of your week. We'll see you next time. Watch the movie or we'll kill you, and goodbye.
Yeah.